The baby in the library. The post had arrived. The librarian donned a pair of protective gloves and approached the box with a rapidly beating heart and a stout stick. She generally considered herself ready for anything, but since magic had slipped through the cracks into the kingdom, anything could encompass a very, very wide range of things. The latest book delivery had dissolved into a flock of grumpy moorhens that she'd needed to rehouse in the canal. Stick held high, breath held in anticipation, the librarian slit the tape and flipped the lid to reveal the contents. Oh! Inside, in place of the book she'd expected, hoped for, sat a small child. They blinked up at her with wide eyes and a sombre expression. "Hello," her lips curved automatically. Welcome." The child blinked. A toddler. Well, that was only the strangest thing to happen in the library this week. Let's get you out of there. She'd deal with the practicalities. Then she'd figure out where the child had come from and why they'd been caught up in whatever magic had brought them to her door. She spread her hands and the child obligingly raised their arms to be picked up. But when she reached for the small body, the librarian found her hands instead closing around something that felt a lot like a book. A broad tome, smelling faintly of lignin, the dryness of fabric and card beneath her fingers. She turned her head and the child was still regarding her peacefully, entirely childlike. Lignin became talcum powder and baby shampoo. Magic. It was rapidly becoming the bane of her life. She lifted the child out and sat down in the broad chair behind her desk, settling the child in her lap. It felt exactly like putting a book there, the weight and pressure reminding her of story time when she'd hold a book in her lap while greeting the children in the library, before beginning to read the story. "This is very strange," she murmured. "Yes," the child agreed, if they were in fact a child. The librarian seized the metaphorical bull by the horns, looking straight into the chubby face. "Are you a child or a book?" "Yes," they agreed softly. Despite the strange situation, the librarian smiled. She'd brought that on herself. "Silly question," she muttered. "Are you a child?" "Yes." Her shoulders sagged, tension easing at the quiet confirmation. "Excellent. So not a book." "Yes." A thrill of uncertainty fled down her spine. The child continued to watch her. She licked her lips. "Yes, you're not a book." "No." She cleared her throat. "Are you a book?" "Yes." "You're a child and a book?" "Yes." "That's not possible." The child made no reply to that. The librarian took a deep breath. Who was she, these days, to say what was possible or not? "Can you tell me your name?" A small shake of their head was accompanied by a downturned mouth. "Where's your mama or papa?" The dimpled chin wobbled. "Don't know." "Don't worry." The librarian squeezed tight, the hard edges of a hardback poking into her arms instead of the soft squishiness of a toddler. "You're safe here until we find them. Would you like a glass of milk?" That was greeted by a nod, while a plump thumb crept into the child's mouth. "Come help me." The librarian hefted the child onto a hip, feeling exactly as though she were resting a book against the broadest part of her body, and crossed into the small kitchen. While the milk warmed, she sent a message across the library network to flag her unexpected visitor. She hoped that someone, somewhere in the kingdom, would be able to help. By then the milk was steaming, and she made hot chocolate for them both, cooled with plenty of milk for the child, and warm enough for comfort for herself. Returning to her office, she collected a couple of picture books on the way. Settling back in her chair, she snuggled the hard-edged child against her chest. "Let's have a little story, shall we?" The child set her head against her shoulder. "Please." The librarian began to read while the scent of warm chocolate filled the air. A lost child, or possibly a lost book, or both. Whichever they were, the library would provide a haven for as long as a haven was needed. The Baby in the Library by Katy Haye. Thank you for listening.